Hello, and welcome to the Cosmic Force Vlog. I'm Mark, and I like Star Wars a whole bunch. So much so, in fact, that I've put together this rewatch of the 8 saga films leading up to The Rise of Skywalker in December. And I'm not just doing this alone, I have roped in my wife, Stephanie, and our friend and roommate, Matt, to share the experience. And I invite all of you to join in the conversation to whatever degree you're comfortable in the comment section below, and let us know what you think. For those of you who have been following, we're going to do things a little bit different this episode and make it more of an open conversation rather than just interview style. Today, we are going to be watching Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which is my 8th favorite Star Wars movie in the saga, 9th if we're including Solo. But we're gonna turn it over to these guys with some conversation, and we'll see how it all shakes out, see what we all think by the end. So get into it, folks. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right. Yeah. All right. So guys, we are gathered here today to watch Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Yes?
Yes.
See.
Cool. So, what are your guys' thoughts going into this rewatch?
Do we really have to do this? It's Clone Wars. It might be my least favorite. I'm waiting to determine that after seeing the last one. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it being like on the boringer side. I know there's like that arena scene that's supposed to be like super action, but I guess that's like is it the better scene? I don't know.
It's actually one of my least favorite part. Like the whole arena scene is for me. It's kind of like the freeway scene in The Dark Knight, where I'm just like, I'm not here for this. I'm here for the high tension conversations between characters.
Yeah, you're probably right. I just don't really remember it. I just remember it being like slow and like the romance being like off-putting because of the dialogue.
Yeah, I remember there being some weird creatures, like those weird, like large tick-looking creatures.
Oh yeah, on Naboo, the one that Anakin rides around on the back of, and surfs it.
I remember there being some real silliness with C-3PO and the droid manufacturing facility.
Oh yeah, that was not good.
One of my least favorite line, I think, in all Star Wars is R2-D2 dragging C-3PO's head behind him, and C-3PO going, "This is such a drag," or something like that. I'm just like,
oh, I know.
You're not
Huns
nerd butler David Bowie, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I love the prequels. You know, I'm a big prequel defender, and Episode 2 is what I would call my 8th favorite of the saga films. You know, it's like...
What's the least one?
I mean,
that's it for now.
That is the one.
We're 8 of 9 released.
So it's like, I still love it. I still have a lot of fondness for that movie, but it is, like, as low as it gets for me. But, you know, I also have a lot of Twitter friends who really love it, and a few who even say it's their favorite of all the Star Wars movies. So...
Even with Hayden Christensen, like, crushing real hard on...
Oh, I mean, like, that's one of the selling points, I think, in many circles.
Bits.
Yeah.
There's, like, no substance to the relationship. He's just like, I want to jump your bones.
Well, here's a fun fact for you at home. I don't know if you guys knew this either, that the romance in Episode 2 it's deliberately influenced by Dr. Zhivago. In fact, even the art on the poster for the movie is mimicking the art on the poster for Dr. Zhivago.
What's Dr. Zhivago?
So Dr. Zhivago is a David Lean film. It's this kind of romance during wartime.
I thought it was in the prequels start back there saying it's like supposed to be like a Renaissance.
Oh yeah, no, but that's also more of like a tonal thing. So it's like Dr. Zhivago, I think, was set during World War. But the tone of it, like with all the miladies and all that. What would you call that era? Like Renaissance speak? You know?
So yeah, like just Renaissance.
That very formal, declarations of love and what is it?
More of like an outspoken poetic.
Yeah, like pining from afar.
Shakespeare.
Yeah, and then the whole like, oh, we couldn't get together because of our class differences. You're a Jedi. I'm a senator. It could never work. You know, it's harkening back to older types of civilization, which I kind of get because it's like in the original trilogy, we're dealing with like the ragamuffins of the galaxy, you know, the not formal freedom fighters like the Jedi and the senators and the Republic and stuff. So you've got the fancy pants people in the prequels, and then the the ragamuffin descendants in the original trilogy.
An appreciation for something they did better in this film than they did in Phantom Menace, and that was toning down Jar Jar Binks.
For real.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Like I kind of love the way that they handled Jar Jar Binks in this one, like especially during his introduction scene when he first meets up with Padme. It's kind of like this, like Padme greeting him like, "Oh, Jar Jar from 10 years ago, that silly alien guy, I remember you." And she goes up to him, she starts trying to talk to him, and now he's a senator for Naboo and for the Gungans, and so he's like, "Ooh, muy misa," like so excited, and she's just like, "Oh God, oh wow, I'm being taken right back there," you know, just like thank you, Jar Jar. I don't want to waste any more of your time. I've got stuff to do. You've got stuff to do. We should.
Well,
catch up later.
He's able to take a hint this time too. So he's
Yeah.
like, "Well, Lisa, very nice to see you again." Sorry, that was more Italian. But you know, at least he could take a hint and was able to, you know, just like move on, and we can move forward with the story. I think the most interesting part of this episode or this film is the introduction to the clones. I think that pushes forward a big part of the story for the entirety of the rest of the saga series.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're reoccurring characters. So with that sort of background, I think that's really all this really needed to be about. Oh, and we have Count Dooku, you know, which Lord Tyrannus, or so we learn about him and his role to play in this. And I think there's, you know, I don't remember what happens with Chancellor or Senator Palpatine in this one. I don't remember much about this one and his role.
He rises to Supreme Chancellor.
Yeah.
In this one, not the next one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was. I forget.
Yeah, in the third one, so it's because of this aggression from the Separatists that leads him to be like, oh, we just need to give me more power, we need to get an army and everything. And of course all that happens, and then by Revenge of the Sith, the Jedi are just like, okay, he's got all of this power, the Clone Wars are clearly coming to an end, you know, and they're just like, why isn't he ready to give up his power yet? And
another Julius Caesar.
Yeah, and then it's treason time, you know.
So this one might be better because you got no Jar Jar, you got Dooku.
Well, little Jar Jar.
Okay, you got a lot less Jar Jar.
Mm-hmm.
You have Dooku, and then you got an Obi-Wan with some facial hair.
Yes. Ewan McGregor has aged, which is
he's aged well.
Nice, yeah. He has aged well.
Keep it in your pants, Steph.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Now we just have to do something about Anakin's hairstyle in this one. It's still. I'm glad that they allow it to grow out from.
I mean, Obi-Wan has a mullet. Let's be real. Like.
Yeah.
and then the mullet gets passed to Hayden Christensen in Revenge of the Sith.
Which is the one where his mom dies?
This one.
This one?
Oh, yeah.
This one.
Oh, because that might be. I mean, I'm not happy that his mom dies, but like that's like probably more sophisticated drama that happens.
Yeah. That's
Maybe.
good character progression for Anakin. We get to see the Tusken Raiders, and we get to see Yoda's first demonstration with a lightsaber or battle with a lightsaber.
One.
Yeah. And Anakin loses his hand in this one.
Yep. He sure does. The middle chapter.
See?
I'm surprised Rey didn't lose a hand or anything in the.
Like all these
Last
points
Jedi.
we're talking about, you think it would be good, you know what I mean? Like it just sounds like it's, but then you watch it and then it kind of, why isn't it good? We'll see. I might change my mind. So
Maybe we will.
I mean, I still think it's really good. I just think that there are 7 saga Star Wars films better than But I do like. Okay, so in the overall prequels, how last week we talked about what's the function of the Phantom Menace. I see the Phantom Menace as like the prologue to the Star Wars saga. It sets up. This was the Republic more or less during its heyday, and then it's like 10 years until the next movie.
Oh, we're talking about Padme's costume changes.
You just jump right into that. She's like Elton John changing before every song at a
I think
concert.
Okay, so who is Padme in this movie? Right, no longer a queen, now a senator.
Still share.
But still dresses like a queen.
But still dresses like a queen. Hello.
Yeah.
She's come into her own. She's left her homeworld. Now she's involved in galactic affairs.
She gets a little racy with her outfits too in this one, if I remember correctly. I think her pregnancy wardrobe is better in the next movie. Well, I think we're ready to do this.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start Attack of the Clones. Woo! All right, so guys, reactions after Attack of the Clones.
I just want to say, Mace Windu's purple lightsaber. Why? I mean, I know why. I know why they went that route. We covered it in the documentary. That's what Samuel L. Jackson wanted and wouldn't do the role without it. And I would have been like, screw you, man. There's only green, blue, and red in this universe. It's all you get. Pick one. But like, because you never see another purple one after that. You know, it's like, why not yellow? Why not orange? Why not like hot pink? You know, but I guess there were just a lot of like liberties that everybody was allowed to take.
I mean, I kind of think of it as Mace Windu was not this very consummate light side Jedi. You know, he had like a lot of hostile, aggressive feelings, and so I think that, you know, blue plus red equals purple. You know, I think that someday we'll get something in the Star Wars universe that's just like, hey, you know what purple means? It means this. Blah, blah, blah. You know, that's just some explicit, like, because apparently Samuel L. Jackson has said, he's like, I know what it means, and I'm not going to tell you, but I know, you know, it means something. And so...
That's annoying.
I mean, you just got to be friends with Samuel L. Jackson, probably, to...
Anybody friends with Samuel L. Jackson?
Tarantino, I'm sure, is his friend. Tarantino probably knows why it's a purple lightsaber.
So we gotta become friends with Tarantino to get the answer.
Do either of you guys remember what you thought of Attack of the Clones when you first saw it? You said that you hadn't seen any of them in theaters, right? Any of the prequels?
No. But I do remember going into Attack of the Clones with an expectation for disappointment after seeing The Phantom Menace.
Oh, really?
And then walking away from it not feeling like I was let down with that expectation. I still have to give it its credit because it is part of this story arc and very relevant.
I remember thinking it was slow and that it's because like the lack of context. I'm like, I don't know what's really going on. And I just thought the dialogue was horrible. Those are just pretty much my initial things. Like
every time I watch the movie, I shake my head and think like, what could I have been thinking the first time I saw this? Because so much of the movie is built on a mystery, right? Like the hard-boiled detective stories of the 20s, 30s, 40s, like the Raymond Chandler, Philip Marlowe-esque stories with Obi-Wan standing in as the Philip Marlowe hard-boiled detective character. But as you'd said before, like, oh, it might help us understand more if we got like flashbacks or something to let us know like who's Sifo Dyas. We hear this name a bunch of times in the movie, and if it weren't for extra material like the Clone Wars or books, like we don't really know who that character is. We don't find out until the very end of the movie who Darth Tyrannus is, or
Lord Tyrannus, yeah.
Lord Tyrannus, yeah. There's so much mystery, and we have so little information to make sense of it all. Which, by the way, if you want to hear more on that subject, I was a guest on the What the Force show with Marie-Claire Gould, and I will post a link to that in the description, where we talk about film noir in Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars show. But yeah, knowing how much is not in the movie that's referenced in the movie, it's amazing that movie-going audiences were able to make any sense out of the plot of Attack of the Clones, right? Like, I don't know, it felt half-baked, I think, the first time I saw it.
And so much happens in this one particular movie.
But I want to say that I do like Attack of the Clones more than The Phantom Menace. Before, I wasn't sure which one I was going to like more. But I'm actually surprised that I did like it more. Even though I don't love it. Still, I don't love Attack of the Clones. It has a lot of problems, like the dialogue. But I did enjoy the digital painting look.
Those digital matte paintings?
The matte paintings. So it looked nice. But I think when I first saw it, it was off-putting because the digital look was so new, and I was just. But now it's so commonplace that you can appreciate it instead of like, what is this weird?
Yeah, and I mean, if you are watching these movies and constantly comparing them, the visual sense of them to the visual world of the original trilogy, like they feel just very, very different.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. I think that that these prequel movies were made at a specific time in our real world continuity, and it's taken a while for them to be palatable alongside the original trilogy as just kind of like, okay, I just understand that they have these different looks. Because when they're first released, I think that our assumption was I should be able to watch the original trilogy and watch these and just kind of go like, yep, same, you know?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, these are the same universe. Because it was just like a train wreck of tones. And I can do that much more easily now than I could at the time when they were released.
Also, like, the drama was better than I remember.
Oh, good.
Especially after watching the Clone Wars show, where it gives you more context to what the hell they're talking about, because you really, like, who's Sifo-Dyas, like, who's Tyrannus, like, it's just like, what? And I'm like, okay, I can follow this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot more to you really can understand it a bit more now that we've had time to process all the in-between shows and stuff that have come about with that.
And even Revenge of the Sith, just having that final chapter to kind of make sense of like, okay, Phantom Menace was this first act, Attack of the Clones is the second act that complicates things, and then the conclusion is Revenge of the Sith.
Which we will go into next.
Yeah! Be here for that. Man, you know what, one thing I really loved is Watto is in the Phantom Menace, but in Attack of the Clones, he gets like one scene, he's more stubbly, he's got kind of this like weird jaunty cap thing, and but his interaction with Anakin is just so interesting, so tense, because when he recognizes Anakin, he's really happy to see him, and Anakin is just kind of like, look, you toxic scumbag, I'm just here to see my mom, I don't care at all about you. And that look of recognition when Watto's just kind of like, Annie? I mean, like, does that double take?
Mm-hmm.
Love that scene.
There was another reaction, like, look in the film, and that was Dooku when he was battling Yoda. And he says something like, I'm more powerful than any Jedi, and he throws that Force lightning at Yoda, but then Yoda bounces it back, and that catches Dooku off guard. Like, he gives this reaction of his face like, oh crap, okay. So there was some good face reactions in this. They played to that, but
Also, it's like we get to see Yoda fight, which I don't think we ever see in any of the other movies. So that's one of the better parts of this. And you get.
I mean, debatably, some people hate it.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't want to see him.
He's so old.
I know, but like.
He just seems so overly agile for being so old, and he's even got a mini lightsaber. I mean, it was too cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it's great. I'm like, you know what? Like, I knew he was powerful, and they kind of show off how powerful, and like how you said he catches the lightning. It's like you don't see anyone else doing that, Of course, Yoda can.
Yeah. I do like that it's like Yoda doesn't really ever have to bring out his lightsaber. It's kind of like Sidious, I guess. Like Yoda and Sidious are two opposites, right? And so it's just like they both carry lightsabers, and neither of them often needs to use their lightsabers because they're so strong in the Force.
Maybe if they did make him, like, to your point, less agile, maybe people would like buy it more. Maybe if he had more like heft when he moved or something.
Show his age or something a bit, because like he's almost 900 years old in this film. Yeah.
So maybe something like that would help. But I don't, it's fine.
He's walking with a cane, and
the cane is kind of like a Willy Wonka deception. It's like he does it to project this image of Yoda.
Oh, how deceitful! That's very dark of him.
I mean, I think it is like playful, but my favorite instance of Yoda fighting is not actually in this movie, but in Revenge of the Sith. And it's not really a big fight, and it's not in the fight against Palpatine, Sidious. It's when they're going back to the Jedi Jedi Temple after Order 66, and there are the clones there, and he throws his lightsaber into the chest of one of the clones. Do you guys remember this?
No.
He throws his lightsaber into the chest of one of the clones, and then he runs up the clone and pulls it out. That's like, and apparently the VFX team had to plead with George Lucas to let them do it. I don't think that they asked him before animating it, and then once they had it, they showed it to him. He's like, I don't know, guys. And then they're just like, come on, George, and he's like, all right, we can try it, and now it's in the movie.
I'll watch for that one.
But I mean, when I first saw it, I was I looked forward to the idea of like Yoda fighting in some theoretical sense, and then when I saw all this jumping and spinning around, I was like, is that really what I was hoping for? But I mean, I guess we're left with a lot of those moments in the prequels where it's just we see something and we're like,
Yeah, it could.
I'm not sure if that's what I wanted. You know?
Yeah, like execution of a lot of things is iffy.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just like the idea that he is powerful isn't cool.
Exactly. And like I said before with The Phantom Menace, I think the prequels are, all three, across the board, very ambitious movies. You know, they each have a lot that they're doing, and I don't think that they should necessarily be punished for not all of those ideas finding their footing and thriving as well as they could, but at the same time, that's not a complete outright excuse for all of the many missteps throughout. But it doesn't need an excuse. It's a movie. It's there for our fun and entertainment.
And also, like, I do feel like I like Padme more now that like the political stuff makes more sense. Because like when I saw it like in high school, so I didn't really care about that part of it. So, but you know, now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, cool. Like the political drama, I can get behind. You know.
Cool. Yeah, I like Padme.
I like Palpatine.
Yeah.
He seems to be like gaining more. He is gaining more control, but you see his character coming together more in this. You really start to see the shape of what's to come, especially knowing what's to come. But you see that forming in this one, where in Phantom Menace you were just kind of like, this guy turns into this guy. Okay, but now you're just kind of like, yeah, it's happening.
He even looks more pallid, I think, in this one.
Oh yeah. He definitely looks older and less healthy. And,
in the first one, he just looks like a nice, kindly older gentleman.
Kind of like that like uncle or younger grandpa kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's like this Palpatine. It's like you probably have some kind of dungeon in your house. You know? So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Attack of the Clones. You've heard our thoughts. Now we'd love to hear what you guys think. Is it your favorite of the prequels? Least favorite of the prequels? Is it your favorite of all the Star Wars films? I've met some people who, that's the case for them. So, yeah, let us know what you think. I was surprised to learn that these guys preferred Attack of the Clones to The Phantom Menace, but, you know, to each their own. Yeah, and be sure to tune in next week when we cover everybody's favorite prequel, most people's favorite prequel, Revenge of the Sith, and get to see it all go down. So yeah, until then, good journey, and may the Force be with you.